the Mavericks just made a huge trade to acquire Kyrie Irving, and it is just absolutely insane that how quickly this occurred, and the fact that it actually went through. For most of the offseason, there was reports that Kyrie Irving wanted off of the Nets, but nothing seemingly went through. And yesterday, after requesting another trade, the Nets would officially trade him to the Dallas Mavericks. And there is just so much to talk about, and that's exactly what I'm going to do in this video. Break down not only what the trade does for both of these teams, but talk about how much of an impact Kyrie Irving added to the Mavericks does, not only for the Mavs, but especially for Luka Doncic. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. It truly means the world to me, but let's not waste any more of your time. Let's go and get right into this. This trade is absolutely insane, and may have created one of the best, if not the best, duos in the entire league. So this trade, of course, happened earlier today, and it was broken by Shams, and the trade involves the Nets send only Kyrie Irving to the Dallas Mavericks, and the Mavericks send Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, 2027 second, 2029 first, unprotected, and a 2029 second. Honestly, not as much as I kind of expected for Kyrie. Now, of course, Kyrie Irving's been in and out of playing for, since 2020, seemingly, which is, I think, brought down his trade value a little bit. But, I mean, he is a all-star starter this year. He has a ton of talent still. He's playing, above like 75% of games. He's doing really, really well this year. So I thought maybe you get a little bit more. Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, kind of more role players. They're not like top level players for you. Of course, you get 1 first and 2 seconds, but I honestly expected either a different team to trade for and throw in a little bit better of a player, or at least 2 firsts. That's kind of what I expected. Not what happened. And there's just like absolutely insane to think about that this actually happened. And although I think the Nets, didn't get everything back in return that they maybe were hoping for, I still think it works out for them. I mean, Dorian Finney-Smith and, of course, Spencer Dinwiddie with some draft picks, I think that's enough to keep the Nets in range of the playoffs. Currently, they're the 4 seed at 32, currently they're 4 seed at 32 and 20. I think they can probably remain in the top 6 seeds if, they get in there and they mesh well right away. I mean, Kevin Durant, if he's healthy and can remain healthy, is enough to keep you in that top 6, I think. And I think they've kind of built a pretty solid group around to work well enough. I'm not sure if they're going to be contenders like they were when they had Harden and Kyrie still on the roster, but I think that they're going to, work out pretty well. They could probably be a top 6 at least in the play-in. I don't see them falling out of the playoffs with a trade like this. But on the other side of things, the Mavs, they took a big risk, and I think it's really going to work out for them in the long haul. And move this up a little bit. That's a little bit better. I think it's going to work out for them. I mean, you have Luka Doncic. You're currently in a pretty good spot. You're the 6th seed in the Western Conference at a, I think they're like a 28 and 26 record, something like that. So really in a good spot still. I think that can do a whole lot for you when you're talking about adding in a guy like Kyrie Irving. Yes, you lose 2 guys that were, decently important to you, but I don't think they're as important as what Kyrie can bring to you, not only as a player himself, but also what he brings for Luka Doncic. So first, let's talk a little bit about the numbers for each of these guys. And, let's go ahead and first speak on Kyrie Irving. I think Kyrie Irving, what he brings to this team is a whole lot more than what you guys may really realize. Even with only playing 40 games out of the 52 he could have played for the Nets this year, he put up some great numbers and is a all-star starter this year, which, really shows how great he has been this year to be a starter, not just on the bench as a reserve, but actually as a starter. He averages 27.1 points per game, 5.1 rebounds, 5.3 assists, all pretty good numbers. Actually really good numbers, especially that points reference. And for rebounds and assists on a team that also has Kevin Durant, those are some pretty good numbers. He did that on 49% shooting from the field and 37% from the 3. Again, really good numbers, pretty close to that 50, 40, 90 range. Not sure what his free throws were, but those are some really good numbers. Elite level from 3-point especially, but also really solid and even elite from field goal percentage across the entirety of the court. And he also brings in 1.8 steal blocks per game. I like mixing those two numbers to really show defensive effectiveness. I think it just works a little bit better. Those are some really good numbers. He adds a lot to your offense and even brings some to your defense. I think that's going to work out pretty well for the Nets. And, adding Kyrie to the 6-seeded Mavs, as mentioned, 28 and 26, I was correct on that, brings a lot not only to the regular season, but also to the playoffs. I think that's kind of the biggest thing here is Kyrie's scoring ability is going to, one, take some pressure off of Luka, add some more openness to the basketball court, because people aren't going to be easily double and triple on Luka because you have the scoring threat in Kyrie. If he dishes off to him, now you immediately have to worry about getting over to Kyrie. That's also going to open more opportunities for the remainder of your roster when Luka and Kyrie are on the court, because you're worrying about, which one of these guys you're going to have to double in the night, and that means, you're worrying about doubling this guy or doubling this guy. That leaves, 3 guys through the remainder of the court. Or if you're trying to double and pair off, back and forth, then you only have 2 guys through the remainder of the, 3 guys on the team. I think that's, going to work pretty well for the Mavericks in essence. Not only that, if, taking pressure off Luka's scoring ability, he doesn't need to score as much. His shots will become easier, which is a big factor. Yes, he can hit those big, difficult shots, but getting easier shots is really, really important. Not only that, but, when, he's putting up, points and it's working for him, that's great. And Kyrie, if he's working at the same time, that's great. But if one of these guys is having an off night, Luka or Kyrie, you can give it to the other guy, and that's a great opportunity. Or if you're getting smothered by the defense and you pass it off to another guy, now he's going to have an opportunity to score. That brings so much to an offense. Whether Kyrie stays at the same level that he was, points-wise or not, I don't think matters. Just the scoring threat's going to be really important. And on the other side of things, Luka is currently on an MVP-like season. Some great numbers, and I think is in the top 3, if not the number 1 spot for the MVP race, with 33.4 points per game, 8.9 rebounds, and 8.2 assists. Really, really good numbers, and he's doing that on 50 and 35% shooting from the field. Not as great three-point shooter as Kyrie, but he's also taking more of them and a lot more difficult ones of them. I mean, he's pulling up from a lot deeper consistently, and he's normally put in a spot where a lot of those three-point shots or late-game shots are game winners where he's smothered. Everyone knows that the shot's going to go to Luka. So his percentage is only slightly down from three-point, better on actual field goal percentage. But it's kind of expected when you're the number 1 ball handler, where Kyrie, for the most part, wasn't with Kevin Durant unless, Kevin was not on the court at the time. So some really, really good numbers, and you bring along 2.0 steal blocks per game. Really, really good numbers. Brings a lot to your defense from both of these guys. Now, this pairing could be monstrous. I think this truly could be one of the best duos in the entire league. Now, yes, you do still have some really good pairings, of course. I'm a Bulls fan. Zach and DeMar, that's a really good pairing. LeBron and Anthony Davis, who potentially LeBron could be breaking the all-time scoring record tonight. Crazy to think about that. Really, really good pairing right there as well. Joel Embiid and James Harden. There's plenty of great duos, but Luka, your MVP candidate, and I think likely will win the MVP. And then Kyrie, who is a all-star starter. I don't think there's any of these duos that have both of them being all-star starters. That brings so much to you. I mean, that's just crazy to think about, that these 2 guys, and I tweeted this yesterday, it would be insane to have these 2 guys in the same court, but I didn't think it was impossible. It somehow happens, and for a lot less than I was expecting. This could be insane, but let's look at the remainder of the roster and kind of take a look at how things will work out. Now, sadly, I think this is going to be backwards for you guys. It looks like this is going to be backwards for you guys, but let's run through top to bottom, starters, and then bench first. Point guard, you're going to have Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Small forward is going to be Tim Hardaway Jr., which, honestly, I think he still has a lot to show. Maybe not reach his full potential, but pretty decent option there. Reggie Bullock is your starting power forward, not the greatest, and Christian Wood is your starting center. He's definitely improved a good portion since last year. I think he's working well with the Mavericks. He was kind of the piece that they brought in to upgrade Luka, and now you bring Kyrie. That's such a huge step. Your backups through the remainder is going to be Frank Ntilikina, is going to be your backup for point guard and shooting guard most likely, as well as Jaden Hardy, backup at shooting guard. Josh Green at your small forward, Davis Bertans at your power forward, and then Dwight Powell at your center. And through the remainder of that, you also have guys like JaVale McGee is also on this team, Theon Pinson, I think I said Jaden Hardy, and McKinley Wright the fourth. You know, none of those guys are big names for the remainder of the roster there, but just the front half of this roster I think is really good, and especially your top two guys is absolutely insane to look at. I think there's a lot going for this roster. I think this can go really, really far, and like as mentioned, they're currently sitting at your 6th seed, and I could really see them start to creep into that top level of competition. I mean, you're like top 4 seeds. Although 6th seed, of course, means you're not in the play-in, which is a very good good thing to be in, not have to play extra games. I think they could potentially creep into that top 4 area with the Grizzlies and some other really, really good teams. I think they're in that realm of possibility. But what do you guys think? Do you think they paid too much or too less? Who do you think won the trade? And that's a common thing. And do you think the Mavericks are going to take a huge step up or just kind of sit, right where they are right now with this trade? How excited are you about this? I think Kyrie and Luka together is going to be insane to watch. I'm so excited to see that. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. It truly means the world to me. And as always, I hope it taught something today. Hope it made you smile. Hope it laughed. Something really important to me. Affects my day in a great way. And as always, you guys all be safe out there.